Hey everyone, welcome back to a Liftoff PM product management mock interview. Today we're going to be doing a behavioral or leadership or craft and execution type mock interview. We have Mark who's going to be doing this video with us. Mark, do you want to say a few words and introduce yourself first?
Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Rose. Been a product manager for ages and ages. I was a product manager at Google for years and years. And I love helping on these videos so you can get better into your own skills.
Cool. And if you're enjoying this PM mock interview and you want to stay tuned to other PM interview lessons, click the link in the description, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and stay tuned to the Liftoff PM videos that we'll be releasing soon. So here's the question that I have for you today. Tell me about how you handled a difficult stakeholder.
Yes. Classic behavioral question. Okay. How I handled a difficult stakeholder. Okay. So one time, actually, this is a Google, right? So all these things are appropriate. One time I was at Google. This is when I was working on the Google Nest thermostat as a product, and we were working on a new version of the Google Nest thermostat, which had a very unique screen. The screen was kind of white and then had a white LED that showed through it. And the reason why it was white is that we wanted it to blend into people's homes. And it was passing all the tests. It was doing great internally as we're going through development. And then the head of QA really became a non-fan of the product and started just throwing darts at it left and right and left and right and left and right. And she was very critical of the product. And she was like, look, this product's not going to sell. It's not going to work. I don't like it. I don't like this display. And to be fair, the display was very novel, right? It was a very unique display. And so when she first had the comments, I attributed it to just maybe a lack of maybe a novelty or lack of accepting that people would accept a novel type display. But she was really, really adamant about it and really, really being difficult about it, which gave me concern because after all, she was the head of QA and she had a good voice at the table and I needed to listen to that voice. What was interesting though was one day when I was trying to solve this problem, I said, I've really got to meet with her and really understand what her problem was, because she kept on saying she couldn't see the display and she couldn't see the numbers. And so I went into her office and sure enough, she kind of has a corner office in an extremely brightly lit room. When you're testing Nest thermostats, when you're working on hardware, right, you're not in your home, you're in an office. And in her case, she's in a corner office and the sun's glaring in. And you know what? She was 100% right. And it was interesting. She had inadvertently discovered a flaw in the product, which was that if you shine a bright light on it, it's really hard to see the numbers. However, I was like, okay, how many people actually use their Nest thermostat on this bright sunlit room in the corner of buildings? I said, something's not quite right here, but this warrants some research. And so we tasked up our research team and said, okay, guys, we found a clear bug on this product, or potential bug, I should say, is that when you shine a bright light on it, like direct sunlight, it can have a real impact on visibility, and you can clearly see it doesn't work. And we all gathered around in a sunlit room and put it on and like, oh yeah, that's not so great, is it? So we did some market research, and first thing we figured out was, okay, how many people actually have the thermostats in brightly lit rooms? Turns out it's like 1%, not many. And then we had another question of okay, for those people that have sunlit rooms, how often does it happen? And just with the arc of the sun and things like that, it turned out to be about 30 minutes a day. And so with this newfound research, we went back to the head of QA and were able to say, you're absolutely right. This is a terrible experience and it will impact 1% of our users for between 30 to 45 minutes a day. And then we went and did a survey with customers and so forth, and they said they weren't annoyed. And so we eventually launched the product. The product had great reviews and things like that. But the real question was, what happened here and what did I learn from the situation? And so what I had learned from the situation was when I first got these things, I was pretty dismissive of the criticisms because I thought they were not fair, if you will. But then when I actually went and saw them in person, right, actually literally sat in their shoes, sat in their desk, I could see that this was a problem. And so, and it highlighted a big problem for the product that we were aware of. It actually made it into product disclaimers and things like that. So the big lesson for me was that when you have a difficult stakeholder, it's likely due to something you may not be familiar with, and really to engage that and embrace that.
Makes sense. So Super standard follow-up question here for you, Mark. And I think you've already covered a little bit of this in your learnings, but just if you were in this situation again, is there anything that you might have done differently, maybe to proactively address this concern or anything like that?
That's a great question. I think, again, key learning was because it was a novel display, I was getting lots of criticisms from people, obviously saying, hey, this is novel, this is different, people aren't going to like it. And what I should have been more attuned to was addressing those criticisms more earnestly, right? So this person really had to raise their hand like 5 or 6 times before it really caught my full attention. So shame on me. I really should have put a lot more attention to it. Eventually, obviously, it got my attention, but I definitely could have put attention in it a lot earlier.
Makes sense. Well, thanks, Mark, for this awesome story. And I think for the viewers at home, like the main takeaway here, not only is it have a great story, but have a structured story. I think Mark did a really good job of calling out the different learnings he had along the way. But also, you don't have to be super formulaic and say, hey, here's the situation, here's the task, here's the action, here's the results, STAR framework, right? Just let the story flow more naturally. Mark, did you have any sort of learnings you wanted to impart or any last words before we close out the video?
Sure, you bet. So one last thing that I always like to say about these behavioral questions is these questions are about learning, they're about struggle. And so one of the ways you can have a lot of impact with these questions is at the very end, you say, and what I learned was, right? Every product manager in the world wants to learn, and they're going to be very interested to learn what your learnings were. So if you can add that to your behavioral questions, especially that you're a learning, growing human, your questions are going to come across as authentic and genuine, and people are going to like them.
And I think you were able to show that authentic part of yourself when you said words like, I was dismissive. Being able to call out your own flaws is something that a lot of hiring managers would appreciate to see in a candidate.
Always.
So, Mark, did you want to call out where people could find you if they needed more help?
Sure, you bet. So you guys can find me at productbymark.com. Please reach out. I'd love to help you on your journeys in product management.
Cool. Thanks, Mark. And for the viewers at home, good luck with your upcoming interviews.